Hello and welcome to Leeds TV, and here we are with our guest tonight, Gareth. How you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you.
Good. So, how do you think we are at the moment as a club and a fan base?
I think as a club it's really difficult at the minute. I think we're taking backward steps from what we've been promised and perhaps where we were 12 months ago. There's been so many positive things happen in the early part of the season over the summer. We thought the recruitment was going to be a lot better than it's turned out to be. It appears to be football manager recruitment rather than well-researched players. And I think that now we're where we perhaps deserve to be. And I expect that we might sink a little bit lower through the rest of this season while Heckingbottom sort of works out what's going on with the squad that he's got and has to chop and change a little bit to see what is available to him. I think as a fan base, I think we've been amazing. I think that the attendances here at Ellen Road have been absolutely outstanding, and they've been higher than what the quality of the football has deserved. But I said it the other week when I was talking to somebody that the Cardiff game was the last time we'll get 30,000 this season, because people won't pay the prices that they've been asked to pay to come and watch the standard that's on the pitch. I mean, we're talking now before the Wolves game, I don't think the crowd will be 26,000, so I think people will dwindle off. And I even think it'll start to affect the away attendances as well, which is something that's never been affected. Yeah. And I think people are just becoming a little bit disheartened. The chairman, who has done some amazing things, made some promises that he shouldn't have done. I think he showed his inexperience by saying we will finish higher than we did last year, which meant we would finish in the top six. I think he was naive. I think he should have kept a little bit quiet. I think we should have invested in other areas, and we've done some wonderful stuff around the ground. You can see the positive changes that have been made, but what fans want is positive changes on the pitch. And going back to the recruitment, I think there's perhaps only 5, maybe 6 players in the squad that you would look to keep next year if we want to make a charge towards the top 6 next year. But we say this every year, it's nothing new. So there's a lot of hard work is going to have to be done. And also, I think one thing that will affect us, I think, is the season ticket renewal stuff that happened over the last couple of weeks. What's your
thoughts on the season ticket renewal?
I find it really disappointing, and it smacks to me of a club that doesn't have any money to do any business in the summer. I find it disappointing that they've treated people unfairly. I think we all have reasons where people can't go to games, whether it's family, whether it's money, or anything like that. So why should the people who've only just bought half-season tickets at Christmas be penalised by having to pay another 33% to come again next year? Really it's absolutely flatly wrong. But it smacks of a club that's not able to fund itself through the summer, where we were in the Bates era and the Chilino times. So I find it really disappointing, and I think it's a bit of a kick in the teeth for a lot of supporters. And I doubt we'll be anywhere near 20,000 renewals. I genuinely think that unless we show some real positive and exciting transfers over the coming months when the window opens again, the crowds will really dwindle and the season ticket renewals will really dwindle, and the chairman will be sat there having to rethink again about what the strategy is going forward.
I think he's learned over the course of the season, and he's probably made some mistakes. And he's actually come out and said, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. And he's also about recruitment with Tasha, and said he's going to be looking at those sort of players going forward. But a lot of fans have been saying about this 5-year plan. Do you believe in this 5-year plan?
Well, I believe in a plan, whether it should be 5 years or not. I think 5 years in football is very difficult to plan for. Yeah. I think you can only really plan for 2 years at the best, because if you're planning for 5 years and you're planning on what we have now, then you're not going to be able to keep players of the calibre of Saiz and Janssen when Janssen's on form. So that knocks your plan out the window straight away, because players won't stick to a 5-year plan. Yeah. Fans won't stick to a 5-year plan. What they want to do is they want to see progress year on year. Now, I genuinely don't mind if we don't make promotion next year, the year after, because all I want to see on there is a group of players who are willing to give everything and come off that pitch. I mean, Noel Whelan said it on Radio Leeds the other day, they need to come off that pitch feeling sick. Yeah. Now, after what we witnessed at Middlesbrough on Friday night, a lot of those players there could have played another 90 minutes again. Now, you know, when I know the 80s is a long time ago, but I remember it really well from coming down here. We weren't great then, but people didn't used to walk out in their droves because the players used to give everything. So if you're going to have a plan and you're going to have a 5-year plan, it has to be based on proper recruitment and without wishing to sound sexist at all. We need men. We need real tough men on that pitch. You look at the teams that are up there and occupying the top 3 or 4 places. Wolves have got some big, strong men. Players have got
I was just going
to
mention about that is that I mentioned on Twitter a while ago saying we need some big men in midfield.
Yeah.
We need some metal in midfield.
Yeah.
We need some tall men because we are a really small side
Indeed.
as well in this league. And a lot of people are saying, well, we don't want the Warnock years of going back to high balls, but it's not just about that. Prime example, playing Wolves today.
Yeah.
They're not tall, but they're built big.
They're very strong, and we saw it when Derby came to Leeds. It was a bit of a turgid affair, but they're stuck in it because they had experienced players who were mainly British, who had experienced the Championship for many years, and they played at that standard and they know what it takes to get out of this league. Cardiff this year under Warnock are exactly the same. Obviously Aston Villa are doing a job, but they've got players in there who've got experience of playing at the top end of the Championship. You look at our side, you look at our squad, we don't have that now, so we don't have that guile about us, and we have a really weak centre. The goals that we concede, we give goals away. We have to work really hard to score goals. We gift goals.
So following on from the goal situation tonight, Bailey Farrell's coming in.
Yep.
Obviously, it's really good. An under-23 guy coming into the side. Is it the right game for him?
Probably not, but I don't think he has a lot of choice. Honestly, obviously we've lost Lonergan probably for the rest of the season with an injury. But I think the confidence of Wiedwald is so low that we need to do something. We need to change something, and we only really have 2 options. I don't know much about. I think his Polish is the other option that we have. I haven't seen anything of him, but obviously. Peacock Farrell had a difficult loan spell at York. He didn't seem to go on very well. Oldham sent him back without seeing him in a game. We've only seen, I don't know if he played a full game in a cup for us or part of a game. We haven't seen much of him. I hope the lad does well. I hope he proves us wrong. I hope he is everything that we want him to be. But it's really difficult to put kids into a side when you're playing a team that I mean they're not full of confidence, but they're the best team in this league when they're playing, and they've showed that consistently throughout the 3 quarters of the season. We do have other under-23s that could come in, but it's really difficult. I mean, we go back to the Wilkinson times when Wilkinson started bringing in youth team players into a side that was low on confidence. We saw it a lot there, where you know people like Rob Bowman, Matt Ford, and people like that, they couldn't fit in and play the way that they had done in the youth team in the Northern Intermediate side, because they were coming from a side that was winning everything, winning the Youth Cup, coming into a side that couldn't perform in the league. And I think it would be probably wrong of him to bring in too many youth team players, but there are games coming up, because let's be fair, they're all dead rubbers now. We're not going to get anywhere. We're not going down. We're not going up.
No, not playoffs though.
No, come on, we're absolutely miles away, aren't we? So I think there will be times in the season where we can bring in people like Pearce, who looks to be a very good left back. I mean, I have absolutely no idea why we've signed De Bock, having witnessed some of the performances that we've seen from him. He looks way off the standard required for this league. So
a lot of people have been saying that, but for me, if you were playing alongside Cooper, would you have to change your game? Because Cooper's he's not a solid defender, is he? He's prone to making a few mistakes.
He is, and but then again, a lot of players are in this division. But I'm sure, coming from the leagues that he's played in Belgium, then I'm pretty sure that he's used to playing alongside a similar standard of player. So I think he's been, even though he looks a tough lad and he looks willing to get stuck in, I think he seems a yard off the pace, and he's cost us goals. Yeah. But again, you know, the whole of the defence is doing that at the minute. You know, since we've lost Ayling, we're really struggling moving forward from either of the full-backs. I'm not a massive fan of Berardi. I think fans love him because he gets stuck in and he can do a challenge, but he doesn't offer us what we need as a modern full-back on the pitch.
I agree with that,
And that's what we're really missing. So there's so much work to be done and I don't mean to sound doom and gloom, but we're in a really difficult position, and we need to really reflect on what we need to do as a club to move forward. And there are 3 or 4 players. I think Jack Clark's another one that we need to look out for. Ray is another one.
They were going to playing, weren't they, against Leicester?
That's right.
Yeah.
And
obviously he didn't have a contract, so he didn't play him. So that speaks volumes for me.
But he seems to have the attributes to come in.
Yeah.
He's a big lad. He's got range. He's got a bit of pace about him. He knows where the back of the net is. But he's bringing him in at Wolves at home. The right thing to do, because you can destroy a young player. But then again, they've got to get used to it somehow, and it sort of separates the men and the boys somewhat as well. So perhaps putting them into a game like this could work in our favour, because literally they have nothing to lose. They don't have a standard to live up to at the minute, and that's what I find really, really disappointing, that we don't have a leader on the pitch who can see us through these tough times. I keep harping back all the time. When we were really strong, when we won the 2nd division last time under Wilkinson, we were looking good all the way through. But Wilco looked at it and he thought, we need a bit more strength in there, so I'll go out and I'll get Chris Kamara.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because after watching the last few games, I was watching Do You Want to Win?
Yeah.
And Silva just comes out and says, it's there, we need to take it.
Yeah.
And just, a lot of people are saying that we need to be careful with spending money because of what happened years ago. But if we went up, the commerciality we would have, won't be just a Bournemouth going up and just trying to stay in the league.
Well, absolutely. I think we have the potential to become one of the top 6 again. We really do. Because we're still world renowned. We're still, we have a massive following still across the world. Scandinavia and other countries. So we'd still pick up that following, and we'd be able to rebuild. So it is a difficult one, because you don't want to see us in a position that we were in before. You want us to have a stable footing, but we have to do something, unless you just come out and say, do you know what, we're going to tread water. But nobody wants that. Yeah. So there has to be a better strategy. I'm not sure Wolves' strategy is the right one, but it's going to pay off for them by the look of it. But Leicester have done it, Bournemouth, and it just shows that the financial fair play is a nonsense after what happened to Leicester the other week. So you can get away with that. You don't need to worry about that. QPR's £80 million fine that'll never happen as well. So it just makes a mockery of everything. But I'm baffled about the wage bill rise this season of £7 million when you look at the lack of quality that's put on the pitch, and that's somewhat worrying, and something that we really need to look at, because Orta must be behind all the signings, and that worries me, because we're bringing in players that are really not good enough, and we seem to be giving them 4-year contracts on what seem to be good wages, 10 to 15 grand in that area. Your Alioski's tied up for 4 years on 12-13 grand a week, and we have to do a better job of scouting these players and seeing them in action and realising that they can do a job. But we need experience, and we don't have that.
So tonight's game, Wolves, what's your thoughts? For myself, I'm just going in and just seeing how it's going to be played out, really. Usually you go into a game and you think, I think we're going to win here, or we're going to get a draw. But tonight, I'm not sure.
I'm quite looking forward to going home, and it's not kicked off yet, and that disappoints me. In myself, I'm disappointed in myself before we've even gone in. But if I go in with a low opinion, then at least I can't be disappointed. I don't expect us to get anything out of it. I think we'll lose, and I think it'll be comprehensive. I think it'll be a 3-1 or something like that. I can't see us pulling anything out of the bag, but you never know. It's a funny old game.
Well, thank you very much, Gareth.
You're
nice
welcome.
to meet you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, Barney.
Thank you.